Welcome to Books on Point. Nic Haralambous spent his entire working life as an entrepreneur. In his debut book entitled Do, Fail, Learn, Repeat, The Truth Behind Building Businesses, he outlines the challenging journey that he embarked on, his successes and some of his darkest moments. So we're going to be talking to him about exactly that truth, but we also want to touch a little bit on about the budget. Nic, thank you so much for your time. We had the national budget that was delivered by Finance Minister Tito Mboweni, and a lot of people said there were things that were missing. From your point of view, from an entrepreneurial point of view, and perhaps even for small businesses, what would you have liked to see?
So I think that the positives is that it was growth focused, and that's never a bad thing. Unfortunately, I'm quite bearish on the macroeconomics of this, but I'm quite bullish on the South African entrepreneur's ability to find opportunity in the dark times, and we've proven that over a decade of really brutal economic conditions. I think that the most shocking thing to me is that the criminals and the corrupt, incompetent people running the state-owned enterprises are being bailed out at Eskom and SAA, 160 billion. And I did some small math. If you were to try and spark 1 million small businesses with 160 billion rand, you could give them each 160,000 rand startup capital. That's how you spark spending and growth over the next 20 years. You don't bail out failing enterprises. So that's the part that I'm quite shocked is still going on.
Right. And he also outlined the economic outlook. And I think for this year, it's around 0.3%. And going into 2020, it's 0.9%. Now, that's not conducive to creating jobs, particularly as well as helping small businesses. Talk to me about the realities on the ground that you're seeing when you're engaging with other entrepreneurs.
Yeah, the reality on the ground is quite difficult. I mean, those of us who have been doing this for a while, we see opportunity in these holes and these gaps. But for the person just starting out, it's brutal. Just my own team, we've had to send them home on multiple days in the past 6 months because we've had no electricity for prolonged periods. Getting to work becomes extremely difficult when the power's out, the lights are out. So this makes the climate extremely hard. On top of that, tax breaks aren't actually going to stimulate spending in the economy. Globally, it's been proven that these tax breaks lead to saving, and what we need to help young entrepreneurs is spending. We need people to be buying the products they're selling. So on the ground, it's really tough and intense, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Right. I came across a very interesting working paper by two professors, one from the University of New York and the other one from the University of Pennsylvania. So basically what they were trying to say, or well, try to figure out, was whether entrepreneurs who go it alone have a better chance of surviving than those who take on a team approach. Where do you sit on that debate? Is it better to go at it alone? And considering the amount of experience you have and that you've outlined in your book?
I'm quite firmly placed on the build a business with co-founders position. From an entrepreneurial and investment perspective, I've never raised money as a sole entrepreneur. And I know a lot of investors who shy away from sole entrepreneurs purely because the journey is so brutal. Being on your own is very, very difficult mentally, physically, emotionally. And on top of that, you need a variety of skills to do this on your own that you could probably do a bit better if you had a variety of people with differing skills. So I'd say that there's strength in numbers, and on a global scale, I've never met an investor who prefers a sole founder to a group of co-founders.
Right. So now back to you and your book. Talk to me about what inspired it, in particular the title of the book.
So I started my first business at the age of 16, and if there are any young people watching this, that's the time to start your first business. You have no risk, you have no debts, you have no responsibilities, you can take a lot more on. So I did that, and I spent 10 years failing. And South Africans have been conditioned to think that we get one shot. I wanted to tell people that you get multiple shots. You can fail, and that's not an end point, that's a through point that you need to experience so you can get better at what you do. So I wrote a book about my failures so that other people can understand that it's okay to fail, and that's the path to success. You don't just get one shot at this. You can fail, take a knock, learn something, and do it again, and hopefully do it better the next time.
Speaking of failure and what you're saying now, I mean, do you find that the South African environment is starting to change its relationship with that term failure, be it from, guys who are financing, those who are investing? What's your view?
Absolutely. In my experience with the local investment community, they like proven entrepreneurs who have failed or succeeded. They like to know you've been through the gauntlet. They like to know that you understand what it feels like to have pressure, to lose a sale, to win a sale. So it's better to have tried and failed than to be a first-time entrepreneur. It's really hard to get funding and investment if you're a first-timer, unless you've got this cracking idea.
So one gets the sense from your book that your parents weren't really happy with your decision to be an entrepreneur. How do they feel now, like looking at your track record and your wins? I mean, how do they feel?
I think the truth is they'd probably like me to have had a simpler life. Being an entrepreneur is by no means a simple existence. You are always up against the wall and you're always fighting for a better future, a better society and a better business. So they're proud, I'm sure, but I think that they would have preferred it if I'd chosen a simpler route.
Right. What do you want people to get out of reading your book once they get their hands on it?
I want them to read the book and understand that in spite of being an entrepreneur being difficult, it is possible, and the best time to start your business is right now. There is no point in waiting. If you're going to go through it and it's going to be hard, it may as well be hard now. So suck it up. That great idea you've got, build it and see if anyone's going to buy something, and who knows, maybe you'll change the world.
Is there something that makes a good idea or a big idea, or you don't know yet unless you put it out to the market?
Yeah, ideas are absolutely irrelevant. The amount of entrepreneurs who ask me to sign a non-disclosure agreement before telling me their idea is insane. Your ideas are worthless until you build something and execute. So on ideas, the only thing you need to do is build it and get it out into the world.
All right, one tip before I let you go for entrepreneurs out there that they can, or rather that they should factor in mind, bearing in mind what's happening in the environment.
I think considering the budget and the macroeconomic situation with any business, whether you're selling R1 million a month or nothing, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. Make sure you know how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, and keep a close eye every day in this climate on your cash flow.
All right, Nic, thank you so much for your time. That is Nic Haralambous, who's written a new book titled Do Fail, Learn, Repeat, The Truth Behind Building Businesses. And of course, it outlines his failures, some of his successes, some of the wins as well. And it's really an emotional story as well. I got a sense of emotion out of there reading that book, but some really great insights to learn from it.